Coming to you live from Ersprung Gymnasium on the campus of Baldwin Wallace University. Welcome to our coverage of the OAC semifinals. Tonight, the Marietta College Pioneers, ranked 4th in the OAC this season, against the regular season champion and number 1 seed in this year's tournament, the host Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets, led by head coach Sherry Harrer, who won her 600th game earlier this season. I'm Brendan Gulick, glad to have you on board here tonight. Coverage brought to you by Dan Andrews and Olympic Forest Products, a global recycling company, by Papa John's Pizza in Berea, the official pizza provider of BW Athletics. Call them at 440-891-1900 or go online, papajohns.com. And by the Oswald Company, they'll handle all of your insurance and risk management needs. Yellow Jackets are having a heck of a season. They are number 10 in the country with a record of 24-2. The only losses on their ledger came to the number 7 ranked team in the nation, the Knights from Wartburg, back on December 29th. And the Jackets lost just one time in conference play at John Carroll, a tough game on January 22nd. They lost 59-53. But ever since then, it's been more than just smooth sailing. The Yellow Jackets have won most of their games this year rather handily, including on Tuesday night against Otterbein, 87-59. Although that final score doesn't tell you the full story. The Jackets trailed in that game, ready for it, 19-5, 7 minutes in. And then they turned around and really impressed against this home crowd, and they were able to knock off Otterbein in a pretty solid fashion. Just about ready for this evening's competition. Matt Balster, Colleen Thompson, and Kyle Potcotter are referees here this evening. Jackets in gold, Pioneers in navy, and off we go here inside Ersprung Gymnasium. Give you Marietta's starting lineup in just a moment. They're having kind of an up and down season, 14-12. They had a brutal first quarter on Tuesday as Casey Hughes gets us started with a layup. By the way, we apologize for the later start than anticipated tonight. Marietta had some travel issues on their way up I-77, and so the game tonight tipping off about half an hour late, but we're underway nonetheless. Marlo Taylor answers with a layup down on the other end of the floor. For the Jackets, it's their typical starting 5. Casey Hughes, Riley Schill, Kara Marshall as Casey Hughes bangs home a 3-ball. Hannah Fecht and Megan Scheibelhut, starting 5 for the Jackets against Marlo Taylor, Alexis Enix, Devin Hefner, Jill Congrove, and Bailey Brooks. Marlo Taylor in particular, a very good player. Keep your eye on her throughout the evening as the Jackets try to get off to a better offensive start here tonight. Kara Marshall cuts and scores. 7-2 Jackets, the opening couple of minutes of action. Taylor's a tough customer. Against Capital earlier this year, she dropped 33 in a game where she hit 9 of 12 threes, one of the all-time best performances individually in Marietta women's basketball history. Hannah Fecht, good three-point shooter in her own right. Frankly, one of the all-time best 3-ball shooters for the Jackets. Casey Hughes is en fuego. 8 of BW's first 10, including a couple threes. The Jackets race out to a 10-2 lead. That one flicked up and in. Nice play by Bailey Brooks. Brooks going to the free throw line on an and one. Yeah, Hannah Fecht back for a 5th year after injuring her wrist last year. Hannah playing in her 111th career game tonight. But she and her 4 senior guard teammates have all gotten a lot of experience as Brooks misses the free throw. Riley Schill, team's leading scorer this year, as Marshall lays one in. For Schill, it's career game number 106. Fecht, 111. Kara Marshall, game 106. Casey Hughes, game 99. She had a knee injury when she was an underclassman and missed some time. And Tiffany Bettler, when she gets on the floor tonight, it will be game 105 for her. this team goes as those 5 young ladies go. It's a travel on Marlo Taylor. Rather, beg your pardon, that's actually Jill Congrove down in the corner. Substitution as Bailey Brooks comes out, and she's replaced by freshman guard Haley Ross, an Aurora native out on the east side of Cleveland. So it's 12-4 Jackets. Much better start tonight than they had in that pretty miserable offensive start on Tuesday. Fact with a right hand. Couldn't get it to drop in there. That is last touch by Lily Edwards, who's recently checked on. Now Kara Marshall checks out. Gabby Garrett onto the floor for the first time tonight. Much greater sense of focus from BW early on here. Yeah, Marietta had a pretty tough start. Anemic offensive first quarter on Tuesday as well. They played Capital. The two teams combined to go 1 for 23 from the floor in that first quarter on Tuesday. But Marietta ended up surviving. And an ugly win, but a win nonetheless. Pioneers walked away 53-49, the final over Capital. In our other semifinal, John Carroll is hosting Ohio Northern. And at halftime, it's the Blue Streaks 27, Ohio Northern 21. Good second quarter for JCU as they've taken the lead back. Marietta steps out of bounds. Winner of this game plays for an OAC tournament championship on Saturday against either John Carroll or Ohio Northern. If Baldwin Wallace wins tonight, they'll host the championship game Saturday. If Marietta wins tonight, they know they're on the road, but won't know who they play until a little bit later on. Lily Edwards up and in for 2. 14-4 BW. Jackets took both regular season meetings as Marietta misses on a layup there from Hefner. BW beat Marietta early in the year by 20, 72-52 back in mid-December. And they followed it up here at home on January 25th with a pretty lopsided final score, 89-60. But Cole Vivian knows what it takes to win an OAC title. A couple years ago, his senior-heavy Pioneers were the class of the league. They won the OAC championship back in 2018. Megan Hensel on the floor. Finds Lily Edwards. Goes up and under, and a rare miss for Lily. Last year's OAC Freshman of the Year. Excellent drive, Taylor. It's an offensive foul. And Taylor's jaw is on the floor. She can't believe it. Now the referees are going to get together and discuss it. They're going to count the basket and reverse it to a blocking foul. Well, I certainly don't want to speculate at the nature of the conversation, and without a replay, it would be hard to know, but an educated guess would be that one referee thought it was a charge because her feet were set, while another official likely saw that perhaps the feet were inside the arc, which would not make it a charging call. And so, Alexis Enix hits the free throw, but a violation. Marietta stepped in the lane before that ball was released, and the counted free throw is now taken off the board. It's 14-6. Well, all that for nothing. Last year, Marietta won a quarterfinal game, but lost in the semifinal round to Ohio Northern, who's been an OAC tournament outstanding team for a long time. Izzy Andrews was too wide open. She blew the layup there on the right side. Approaching the midway point of the first quarter. This has been such a fun tournament over the last several years because a different team has won it every year going back to 2014. The Jackets take a charge that time, no doubt about it. Hefner picks up her first, team second. Not Capital, but Marietta has to sub a couple players off there. Last year, John Carroll beat Ohio Northern for the tournament title. 2 years ago, Marietta beat Ohio Northern. Ohio Northern won the tournament in 2017 over the Wilmington Quakers. Edwards lost the handle off Marietta. In 2016, the Jackets played for the title but fell short at Mount Union. 2015, the last time BW won the tournament, they beat Capital. Capital won it back in 2014 over Ohio Northern. We haven't had a repeat champion in a very long time in conference action in the OAC tournament. Just speaks to the strength of this league over the years, no doubt. Jackets trying to reclaim the title for the first time since 2015 as Andrews was not fouled in the lane there. Last 6 years, Carroll, Marietta, Northern, Mount, BW, Capital. All of them have won the automatic bid. And back in, I believe it was 2015 or 2016. Actually, you know what? I beg your pardon. It's 2014 as we get a jump ball on the floor. In 2014, there were 4 teams from the OAC that went to the NCAA tournament. So it's a deep league historically as well. First time out on the floor, the Yellow Jackets got off to a hot start offensively, and they're out front 14-6. 4:34 left in the first here in Berea. Well, ready to continue on here in the latter portion of the first quarter. And we'll give you an update from elsewhere around the OAC men's and women's tournaments tonight. Meanwhile, Pioneers back at it. Sydney Diedrich, first action of the night. She jars one free. Casey Hughes does a somersault, pulls it away. Great effort. Marshall back to Schill. Too flat and too much on it. Now Marietta quickly with Hefner into trouble. That's another offensive foul. Kara Marshall takes the charge. Hefner with 2 player control fouls here. Her second, team's third. Halftime over in University Heights. John Carroll 27, Ohio Northern 21. They have not started the second half of their game yet. JCU has been a little sloppy with the ball in that game, but they're shooting it 50% from the floor. Casey Hughes rips the nets. She is unstoppable tonight. 3 threes for Casey Hughes, and she's got 11 of BW 17. Jordan Kaiser. This is Luce Doritza down in the low post, and the rim is unkind. Hensel dribbling right side. Hughes has it jarred free. Gathers back in. Good defense from Doritza, young lady out of Pittsburgh. Jacket offense is stalling here. Diedrich goes back up to the point guard Hughes with 7 to shoot. Well, Riley Schill couldn't get a shot off. She bobbled it as she tried to gather it in there. Here comes Tiffany Bentler and Hannah Fecht. Hughes and Hensel off the floor for a moment. 3:07 left in the first. Pioneers coming up the floor. Trying to work through Marlo Taylor. Hannah Fecht doing everything she can, but Taylor with a beautiful move shakes her free. Fantastic work from Marlo Taylor. She's got 4. Pioneers back within 9. And a foul under the basket. Foul is on Bailey Brooks. That's her first, team fourth in this first quarter. Marshall going to the free throw line for two. I believe it's on Doritza. Actually, I think it's Jill Congrove. They're going to hit Congrove with a foul. Marietta makes another change. You know, for a long time here, since the turn of the millennium, Ohio Northern has been right there as one of the premier teams in the league. Kara Marshall hits the free throw. And certainly this decade, Ohio Northern, 7 OAC regular season championships in program history. 5 of them have come in the last several years, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18. The Yellow Jackets winning the regular season title here in 2019 for the first time since 2014. Either Northern or BW has won the regular season title every year since 2013, but we've had 6 different OAC tournament champions, 6 different schools the last 6 years. So the number 1 seed has not always had a great deal of success. Sydney Diedrich, open, rainbow three, let it rain. 22-10, the Jackets with a hot shooting start. That's 4 3-balls in the first quarter. 22-10. Tough quick try from Brooks. Marietta goes one and done, and apparently that was last touched by the Pioneers. Enix back into the game. Doritza has a seat. Next dead ball, we'll give you an update on the men's semifinal scores as well. Sydney Diedrich bobbles it out of bounds. How about the game going on down in Marietta right now? Second-seeded Marietta, third-seeded John Carroll. This doesn't happen often. The Pioneer fans are probably scratching their heads. JCU is blowing out Marietta, 54-36. Little turnaround hook shot. It's a good one from Kaiser. Marietta does not get beat on their home floor very often, let alone smacked on their home floor, but there's a lot of game left. And actually, that reminds me of a game between those two schools on the men's side in 2010. Tiffany Bentler in and out from 3. John Carroll led Marietta at halftime of the OAC championship game. It would have been the 2011 OAC title game, 2010-2011 season. And Marietta came back to win that game in regulation. They crushed the Blue Streaks in the second half after being down by almost 25 at halftime. So it's not been unheard of for the Pioneers, who on the men's side have been an OAC measuring stick, if you will, and an NCAA tournament staple. Marlo Taylor gets the foul. Hannafect can't believe it. Yeah, Marietta's men last year, an Elite 8 team. And they've had another good season this year, although perhaps not quite to the same level of success they experienced the last several years. They're winning at least a share of the OAC tournament on the men's side 5 years in a row. First team in league history to do that. Hughes back in for Bentler. And with Taylor at the free throw line, Camille Cummins is going to wait for a second over at the scorer's table. Free throws up and good. Mount Union and Heidelberg playing in a men's semifinal down in Alliance. And the most recent update from that game, Mount Union 38, Heidelberg 28. Although I imagine that one's probably into the second half by now. We'll see if I can get a better update for you. Those stats don't appear to be quite as updated as I would have liked. Cummins comes on the floor. Taylor has a seat. It's 24-14, closing in on the end of the first quarter here. Hughes, 5 seconds to play. High pass to Marshall. Has to let it go. Hensel, not quite. Well, a better first quarter for BW, no doubt about that. 24-14 the lead for the Jackets after 10 minutes. 9 of 16 from the floor, 4 of 7 from 3. Big first quarter from Casey Hughes. She's been perfect so far. 3 threes, 1 other bucket, and the Jackets lead by 10. Second quarter coming up next in the OAC semifinals. Action resuming in Ersprung Gymnasium. 24-14. Yellow Jackets out front of Marietta. These two teams don't have a particularly lengthy OAC tournament history. Haven't had a lot of meetings in the tournament time. It's just kind of the way things have shaken out the last few years. Hughes. And a foul. Of course, last year was so frustrating for BW. They had such a great season, and then in the first round of the tournament, hosting Ohio Northern here, frankly, the team laid an egg. They lost by 17 to an Ohio Northern team they beat by 15 just a couple weeks earlier. And it's not really an insult to the Polar Bears. They were very good, but Yellow Jackets certainly didn't think they were 17 points worse than Ohio Northern on most nights. Still snuck into the NCAA tournament last year, did BW. Won a first-round game on Lily Edwards' buzzer beater against RIT, and then lost to Messiah on their home floor in the second round of the tournament. And their bid to try to get to the Sweet 16 last year fell a little short. Marietta commits a foul right away in the backcourt. A couple years ago, the Jackets lost at Otterbein in the OAC quarterfinals, and it ended their season. BW got a little revenge on Tuesday night in that regard. Last time the Jackets won a tournament game had been quite a while. You might remember 3 seasons back, they closed the regular season here against Wilmington and then turned around and played them in the OAC semifinals later that week and lost by 3. That was before the tournament was restructured to the top 8 playing each other. The Jackets that year had a first-round bye and didn't have to play in the quarterfinals, and it was costly in the end. So this group of young ladies had never won an OAC tournament game prior to Tuesday. They've got big things in mind here this year, that's for sure. Gabby Garrett into the corner, Hughes for 3. Oh yeah, running back up the floor with a big smile on her face. Casey Hughes having a night she won't soon forget. 4 for 4 from deep, she's already got 14, and BW's lead has ballooned to 13. Marlo Taylor hits the heel of the rim. Garrett ties up with Kaiser on the rebound try. The jump ball stays down here. Kara Marshall, Riley Schill, Casey Hughes, Megan Hensel, Lily Edwards, all on the floor. Good deflection. Another baseline inbound try. Let's see who does it. Should be Kaiser. Three ball from dead on at the top. Enix can't connect. Run out for the Jackets. And BW turns it over. Good rotation for Marietta around the perimeter. Opportunity for Congrove, not quite. Last time these two teams played an OAC tournament game against each other was a Yellow Jacket victory in the first round of the OAC tournament back on February 20th, 2012. 8 years ago since they saw each other in a tournament game. Jackets have sputtered a little bit offensively, but obviously shooting the ball at a high clip, and that's helped. 5 of 8 threes, a big difference in this one too. Marietta has not yet hit a three-pointer. Pios try the right side of the floor. Congrove into the key with the left hand, uncontested for 2. 27-16, first points tonight for the sophomore Jill Congrove. Edwards traveled with it, moved that pivot foot. Coach Harrer can't believe it. She's giving the referee her thoughts. Diedrich back in the game. Lily has a seat. Marietta within 11. Ellen Vitchell. And a traveling violation. Vitchell, a Northeast Ohio native. I'm sure she's playing in front of some family and friends tonight. She's from Olmsted Falls, which frankly is only about, depending on where in Olmsted Falls, as close as 5 or 6 minutes away from campus. On the far side of the city, it might be more like 15, but she grew up in BW Shadow, that's for sure. Went to high school at St. Joseph Academy, an all-girls school on the west side of Cleveland. And Diedrich throws one away looking for Schill. Marietta's got a good crowd here tonight, sitting on both sides of the gymnasium. Oh, it hits the top of the backboard, and there's a foul in the corner. It's on the floor. It must have occurred during a box out. And apparently it's on Casey Hughes, her second. Well, you don't want Casey to come off the floor because she's shooting it so well, but not much of a choice at the moment. Can't afford to have her pick up a third foul, especially so early in the second quarter. So meaningful moments here for Tiffany Bentler. Shot clock says 21. If the foul occurred after the shot went up, it wouldn't surprise me if they reset it. Nope, they're going to leave it alone. Okay. Inbound for Vitchell. And she lobs it off Doritz's hand. Luce able to get there though. Taylor. Good pass down low, good ball fake, and a bucket. Luce Doritza into the scoring column for the first time tonight. Jackets by 9, 6:10 left in the first half. Middle of the third quarter across town. John Carroll by 4 over Ohio Northern, 36-32. Winner of this one plays the winner of that game in the OAC championship. Schill the inbounder. Finds Gabby Garrett. And Gabby got fouled from behind. Just enough from Vitchell. In the men's game, Mount Union and Heidelberg. Latest update we have is a halftime score for you. Mount Union 45, Heidelberg 31. And John Carroll continues to beat up on Marietta. 66-45, a couple minutes into the second half. It's a men's semifinal. Diedrich from top of the arc. And it's ruled out of play after going over the backboard. JCU in that game on the men's side has hit 14 of 23 threes. And they've played for 23 minutes. That is wild. Never count out the Pioneer men, though, to see if that's enough. Traveling violation. Bentler stuck her hand in there, and I think it threw Taylor off. And Marlowe tripped over her own 2 feet. Well, both teams make a couple of changes, now ready to rock again. Marshall in a little trouble and finally got fouled. Marlo Taylor, her first foul of the night. A little too much contact for the officials' liking. Izzy Andrews finds Gabby Garrett. Diedrich. 5 to shoot. 5 minutes left in the second quarter. Andrews up top. Garrett's got to let this fly. Oh, she gets some serious backspin on it. Ball checked up off the back of the rim. Took a nice soft hop. Hit the front of the rim and curled home. Love it. 29-18, first points for Gabby tonight. Good effort from Doritza trying to grab her own miss, but Jackets came away with the pinball. Kara Marshall gliding up the floor, and she's going to the charity stripe. Taylor called for her second foul, team 5th. And our first stoppage under 5 minutes means immediate timeout. 29-18, Baldwin Wallace still out front. Marietta tightening things up just a little bit and trying to keep it tight. We'll be back in just a minute inside Ersprung Gymnasium. Jackets by 11. Baldwin Wallace by 11, 29-18 over the Marietta Pioneers. The Jackets try to get back to the OAC championship game for the first time since 2016. Again, prior to Tuesday night, nobody on this Yellow Jacket roster has an OAC tournament victory under their belt, even though the team went to the NCAA tournament last year for the first time since they won the automatic bid back in 2015. Marshall hits 1 out of 2. 7 points for her. She checks out. Jackets have brought on Emily Lyon, a sophomore out of Medina Highland. She's on the floor for the first time this evening. I think that's truly one of Sherry Harrer's biggest assets this year, as the Jackets are called for a foul. There's no doubt that BW's seniors really set the tone for this team. But I think they've got some depth they really like. And a lot of teams graduate 5 or 6 seniors and say, gee, how are we going to replace this again next year? It's a problem that lots of schools, lots of teams have from year in and year out. And I think you just got to give Coach Harrer a ton of credit, because the numbers prove she figures out a way to win with what she's got every season. 30th year, and she's won more than 600 games, an average of just over 20 wins per year. That is wildly impressive over that stretch. One of the all-time great coaches in Division III women's basketball history. Marietta got a turnover and almost coughed it up themselves. They've certainly frustrated the Yellow Jackets a bit tonight. That's BW's 8th turnover, and they're usually a little better about that, averaging just over 13 turnovers per game. A little ahead of that pace tonight. Marietta gets some good credit defensively for that. Enix, her size can be a real problem for most teams around the league. She hasn't been a huge factor yet tonight. That one got jarred free, and it is off of Congrove. Back to BW, 10-point game. Clock's at 3:39. Cole Vivian standing with his hands on his hips in front of his bench, trying to solve the Yellow Jacket puzzle tonight. This has been a much more competitive game than the last time these two teams played, at least to this point. Edwards stuffed. Great block by Enix. Congrove with a head fake, and she went faster than her shoes. Traveled on the far side. Well, the one thing that's playing into BW's favor so far tonight is the fact they've taken only a handful of free throws, but they've taken advantage of those. BW, the number 2 ranked free throw shooting team in Division II, or I should say Division III women's college basketball, number 2 in the country out of 450 schools. Yellow Jackets on the season are averaging 78% from the free throw line as a group. That is darn good. Also shot the 3-ball well tonight, 5 of 9 so far. Of course, as a team, they tied the school record a little earlier this season with the number of threes made in a game. A night most people won't soon forget, and certainly Marietta won't forget it. That one out of bounds, and apparently last touch by the Jackets. These two teams met last time. BW hit 16 of 29 three-pointers and tied the school record. It was also one of the all-time best games for a team shooting threes in OAC history. 30-20, 2:20 to play in the half. The pass toward Taylor was a little off target. Doesn't cost him. Now Brooks, well off target. And a foul, and more of a tough luck foul than anything else. Hensel was kind of caught on the ground. All right, Tiffany Bentler returns here. Enix bounces up top. Kaiser. Good drive, but short on the layup. Riley Schill now. That's another one that Enix has gone up high and snagged out of the air. Marietta's been a little sloppy here, even though they've got some momentum. Well, Diedrich makes a pretty good defensive play, denying Enix. Gave it right back to her. Final minute and a half in the second quarter. Across town, they're almost through 3 with John Carroll up 12. Diedrich. Should have gotten called for a travel and did not. And it turns into a Kara Marshall triple. Jackets get lucky, but they'll take it. Marshall with 10. A potential John Carroll, Baldwin Wallace OAC championship match on Saturday could be really fun. Hensel pulls in the miss. Of course, both teams won on their home floor in the regular season this year. Carroll 59-53 across town. And BW won the game by 3 points here, 80-77. If John Carroll beats Ohio Northern tonight, there's a pretty good chance both teams are going to find their way into the NCAA tournament no matter what happens on Saturday. 3 to shoot here for the Jackets. Diedrich will take it. Long and left. Hensel grabs it. And the Jackets can hold for the last shot if they want it. Hensel's in trouble. Schill came to her aid, and Riley a little more alert for the clock. 8 seconds here. Marshall with 4 seconds. Bentler driving. Tiffany missed it. Flips it over her head and couldn't put it up and in. Good try. So the second quarter in the books, and the Yellow Jackets still have a double-digit lead, although admittedly both teams not a great second period. The Jackets scored just 9 points. Marietta only 6 in the second quarter. But BW still leads it 33-20. By the time we get ready for the start of the second half, we will probably be pretty close to knowing who the winner of the other semifinal game will be. They're ready to start the fourth quarter in University Heights. 47-38, John Carroll over Ohio Northern. Here it's 33-20. The Yellow Jackets out front of Marietta. Leading scorer in the game, Casey Hughes, played limited minutes in the second quarter because she had 2 fouls, but 14 points, 4 of 4 from 3, added 2 ball as well. Kara Marshall with 10, she's certainly playing well. Marlo Taylor, Marietta's leading scorer, with 6 points. Jackets shot 44%, Marietta 8 of 25, that's 32%. The Pioneers don't have a 3-ball yet, 0 for 5. Jackets have hit 6 of 11 from deep, but they've turned it over 10 times, and that's limited their ability to really put their foot on the gas. Marietta also, 16 of their 20 points have come in the paint, so they're not necessarily shooting it well outside the key. We'll see how that continues along the way. Yellow Jackets lead it by 13. It's their largest lead of the evening. We'll see if they can keep it there moving forward. But the Pioneers giving them a good fight. We'll have halftime coverage wrapping up in about 13 and a half minutes, and we'll get rolling with the start of the third quarter. You're watching the OAC semifinals from Baldwin Wallace on BWYellowJackets.com. Well, we're just about ready to start the second half in the OAC semifinals. One of these two teams will play for a championship on Saturday. Will it be the Marietta Pioneers back in the tournament title game for the second time in 3 seasons? Or can the Yellow Jackets get their first trip since 2016? Marietta won it in 2018. The Yellow Jackets' last tournament championship back in 2015. I'm Brendan Gulick. The top-seeded Yellow Jackets had a pretty slow second quarter offensively. The good news for them is that Marietta fell into the same anemic offense. The teams combined to go 5 for 23 in that second quarter. And after the Jackets led 24-14 after 1, it's now 33-20 to start the second half, and BW quickly turns it over. Leading scorer in the game, Casey Hughes. She's back on the floor for BW after picking up 2 fouls in the first half, but she's got 14 points. 4 threes and a 2-point bucket. Hasn't missed from the floor. Meanwhile, a nice little layup there. First points of the second half for Devin Hefner. In fact, for her, first points of the entire evening. Kara Marshall's also in double figures. She's got 10. Casey with a no-look pass. Megan Scheibelhut connects. In the other game across town, John Carroll has a 59-47 lead over Ohio Northern with under 2 minutes to play, as the Blue Streaks try to get back in the OAC championship and defend their title. They beat Ohio Northern in the tournament championship game last year. 35-25 after a nice bucket on the right wing for the Pioneers. Kara Marshall looking around. Now left side, Hannah Fecht. Hughes at the top of the arc. Casey, offensive foul, extends the forearm. That was an easy call. On the men's side, Mount Union blowing out Heidelberg 83-59 with under 7 minutes to play. And the men's game, that's the 1 versus 5 on the men's side. The other men's semifinal, John Carroll at Marietta. And the Pioneers have tightened it up. John Carroll was up 54-36 at halftime. It's now 76-68. Marietta plus 10 in the second half. They're back within 8. Meanwhile, the Lady Pioneers here in Berea get a big 3 from Ms. Marlo Taylor. She's up to 9 points, pacing them. It's 35-28. Marshall curling around. Scheibelhut. It goes in. Scheibelhut with all 4 of her points in the last couple possessions. Good work from Bailey Brooks until she coughed it up. And it turns into a breakaway run out for Riley Schill. 39-28, believe it or not. Riley Schill, BW's leading scorer. Those are her first points of the night. Averaging almost 12 a game. She's done a good job getting her teammates involved this evening as Kara Marshall brings in that miss. Effect. Bentler. Tiffany into contact. It's a blocking foul. So Bentler going to the free throw line. Unlike her other teammates, Bentler really doesn't have very many starts in her career, just 2. But she's playing in her 105th career game tonight. And she's been a staple for this team, coming off the bench every year, averaging almost 14 minutes a game. Maybe doesn't get quite the same amount of love as Hughes, Schill, Marshall, and Fecht, but Tiffany is just as important a part of this team. An impressive young lady from Hoover High School down in North Canton. And the Yellow Jackets are definitely going to miss her when she graduates in May. Traveling violation, another Pioneer turnover here in the second half. Yellow Jacket lead is 12. Marietta's men have cut it to 4, 76-72. Holy smokes, it's a good game down at Van Johnson Arena. John Carroll on the ladies' side. Lead by 12 with under a minute to go. It looks like they're going to win. So the winner of this game will very likely play the Blue Streaks. Kara Marshall buries along 2. 12 for Marshall, and it's 42-28. BW's largest lead of the night now, 14 points. Driving the right side over the rim entirely. Brooks can't finish there. Fecht. Good ball fake. Jump shot from mid-range. Lily Edwards gets the rebound. Bentler catch and shoot. Not quite. Jackets were feeling the rhythm though. And an offensive foul on Enix. Didn't see that coming. Gabby Garrett into the game here, replacing Kara Marshall. .608 left in the third. Schill. Edwards right back down to Riley. Garrett's in the corner. Fecht, 5 to shoot. Bobbled it, gathers. Riley has to hoist. Good defense from Marietta. Really, really good work. Lily Edwards in particular, feisty on the bringing the ball up the floor. Congrove, backside pass, Enix, a power dribble, and she gets it. Good work from Alexis Enix. 6 points for her. Jackets going to bring on a little more height off the bench. Fecht looks to the corner and gets fouled. So a couple foul shots coming for the Jackets. 5:03 left in the third, so there's still a little bit of time here before immediate timeout, although not much. And Fecht at the stripe. There were a lot of folks around here that were so glad to see her get that extra year of eligibility and stick around for a 5th season. After last year, she was so disappointed getting that very early season wrist injury and only playing in 4 games. Hannah's such an impressive young lady, and she's a true leader for this team, no doubt. Meanwhile, it's gone final over in University Heights. John Carroll 64, Ohio Northern 49. Alexis Enix misfires. So the reigning tournament champion, John Carroll Blue Streaks, will try to defend their title on Saturday, either at home against Marietta or here against BW, as Gabby Garrett rips down the nets. 47-30, the Jacket lead balloons to 17. Right side, Enix beats Diedrich off the dribble. And with some contact, goes to the free throw line. Timeout on the floor. Baldwin Wallace having a better third quarter. The offense is reignited. The Yellow Jackets with 11 points already since the break, trying to keep a little distance, or I should say 14 points since the break, trying to keep a little distance with the Marietta Pioneers. Back in just a moment. All right, back on the floor after the media timeout with 4:19 remaining in the third. Marlo Taylor watching Alexis Enix try to do her thing from the free throw line. Taylor and Enix, when they're both playing well, they've got a chance to be really tough. Unfortunately tonight, Devin Hefner's had a rather challenging evening. She hasn't been a huge part of this offense. Only 2 points. She's committed 3 fouls. Enix with 3 fouls. That's certainly hurt the cause too. But Marietta's not out of it. They just can't really afford to fall too much farther behind as Enix blocks Garrett, but apparently hit her with the body too. Clean block up top, but not with the body contact. Enix just committed her 4th. That's tough. So it's going to bring Alexis off the floor. Enix, one of the seniors on this Pioneer team that was part of the OAC Tournament Championship a couple years ago. Garrett misfires, a rare miss for BW. Taylor and Enix, 2 pretty impressive players, but also critical pieces left over from that team a couple seasons back. Really helped Marietta, frankly, have a pretty solid season. And they earned a home game in the quarterfinals. Kaiser. Oh, it sat on the side of the rim and fell away, and it rolled away to Sydney Diedrich. Garrett dribbles herself into trouble and passes out of it. Late in the third quarter, Jackets find Hensel underneath. Hughes with a dime, and Hensel turns it in. First points for Megan Hensel tonight. The Jacket lead is 18. Bailey Brooks, good behind the back dribble. Created her own shot, but misfired. Offensive board means a second chance. Marietta out of control right now offensively. Catch and shoot from the corner, and it pops away from Kaiser. Here come the Jackets. Gabby Garrett sets the screen for Hensel. of a sudden, BW's offense is sputtering a bit. Hensel off the side of the rim, out of bounds. Kara Marshall, Hannah Fecht, Riley Schill, Tiffany Bentler, all back in there. Both teams making some changes. Taylor, Doritza, Hefner, all out there for Marietta. Point guard here is Joe Congrove. They've also got Kaiser still on the floor as Congrove goes down the right lane. Kara Marshall pulls in the missed layup. Kara likes to play pretty fast. She's always dribbling with her head up. Fecht's pass was tipped. Diedrich tiptoeing the baseline. Good ball movement by the Jackets. Marietta defending well. 7 to shoot. Hannah fading away. No. Diedrich, a second chance, and it was blocked. Great defense from Doritza. Marietta needs some more of that. Kaiser now. Hefner. Taylor for 3. Bentler pulls in the miss. 49-31 Jackets. And a whistle. All right, Megan Scheibelhut back in the game. Diedrich checks out. And a sub for Marietta, too, as Ellen Vitchell returns to the floor. Bentler's first free throw up and good. That looks like the #1 seed on the men's side, Mount Union, is going to play for a championship this year for the second straight season on their home floor. Last year, they were a tri-champion in the league, but hosted the OAC final because #5 seeded BW had knocked off a couple of teams ranked above them, Wilmington and Capital. Mount Union 97-66 with under a minute to play over Heidelberg. And it looks like they just might get John Carroll. Blue Streaks lead Marietta 86-79 with 15 seconds to play at Van Johnson Arena. The Pioneer men are squarely on the bubble. And the Division III men's tournament selection shows, by the way, are on Monday. Marietta ladies have a long way to go. They need to win the tournament to get in the national dance this year. Baseline inbound coming. Taylor up top and misses it long. Scheibelhut helped pull in the rebound with Riley Schill. It's now a final down in Marietta. John Carroll 86, Marietta 79. The Pioneer men will not play for an OAC championship again this season, which is kind of hard to believe, but boy, this league is just so tough. So JCU will play at Mount Union in the OAC championship Saturday for the men. John Carroll's women will play for an OAC final on Saturday, either here or at home against Marietta. We'll find out who it is. Jackets are in good shape. Late in the third, 19-point lead for BW. Bailey Brooks. Cole Vivian knows Bailey's a big part of this team moving forward. Need her to take a big step next year as a senior. Good steal by Tiffany Bentler. Marshall. 3 seconds left in the quarter. Edwards running out of time, throws it up. Good if it goes. It rattles away. 3 quarters complete, and Baldwin Wallace with a 19-point lead trying to get back to the OAC championship for the first time in 4 years. 10 minutes away here in Berea. All right, fourth quarter. Who's going to come out on top here in this OAC semifinal? Baldwin Wallace by 19 at the moment. Marietta needs to play a really good quarter here. Not impossible, but certainly a tall order. Riley Schill pulls in the miss from Alexis Enix. Winner goes to the OAC championship as Gabby Garrett rattles home a three. 8th three of the night for BW, 2nd for Garrett. Edwards defending Enix well. Here's a three from the right side, and it misfired. Bailey Brooks off target. Marietta still shooting poorly from deep, 2 of 13 now. Got to get it going if you're the Pioneers, running out of time, down by 22 with 9 minutes to play. Riley Schill, tough shot, and it goes. Timeout, Marietta. And the Yellow Jacket fans are on their feet. We'll step aside to timeout on the floor. 55-31, the Jackets way out front. Baldwin Wallace by 24. The number 10 ranked team in the country, looking really impressive again tonight on their home floor where they haven't lost all season. Step back from Enix, short from 15, and Edwards grabs the rebound. Baldwin Wallace having one of those years that they'll remember for an awfully long time. 17-1 in the regular season. One of the all-time great seasons under head coach Sherry Harrer. The team was 17-1 3 prior times under her tenure as Gabby's three misses. Edwards somehow got the rebound between 4 outstretched Pioneer arms. Unreal. Riley Schill with a great takeaway. Taylor slow to get back up the floor. 5-on-4, Edwards, no, second time. It's a +1. Edwards looked at the official with a look of, what do you mean? All right, we'll take it. And then they reversed the call and call it offensive. That was comical. The Yellow Jacket fans and coaching staff certainly can't believe it. I think Lily was pretty surprised that she was going to get a free throw out of it. (57-31). Yeah, Coach Herrer's teams back in the 98-99 season, 2000-2001 season, and the 05-06 campaign. They were 17-1 in league play in each of those years. But if BW continues and wins tonight to get to 25-2 as Enoch scores, the Yellow Jackets haven't won that many games in a season since they were 27-3 back in 07-08. From the left corner, string music for Casey Hughes. Hits another, and she is 5 for 5 from three-point land. Marietta turns it on. BW pouring it on here. Couple of Pioneer subs. Well, I don't think there was really any major question this year between who the two best teams in the league were. Ohio Northern certainly had a good team, but I thought they were pretty squarely the number 3 ranked team in the league. BW and John Carroll separated themselves throughout the course of the year from the rest of the pack. And it's certainly looking like it's going to be a greater Cleveland rivalry for the OAC championship. That one fell off the side of the rim. Of course, the Jackets are happy that they're going to host that game on Saturday. The school will make an official announcement as to when the game is on Saturday, but it's very likely that the women's championship game will be an afternoon game. Historically, the women's game has been in the afternoon, the men's game has been at night. Although, of course, this year, those two games are going to be played at different schools, so they could play at the same time if they want. 60-34 after the free throw goes home for Hefner, who's only got 3 points tonight, well below her season average. Fecht in the corner, finds Casey. Can she hit a 6th? Joel's banked it in from the corner. How the heck did that happen? Perhaps a bit out of control. Kaiser still almost guided it home, and Hughes grabs her first rebound of the night. 17 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists for Casey Hughes tonight. Kara Marshall has 12 and 5. Gabby Garrett, 8 points, 3 boards, 2 assists. Jackets have only turned it over 3 times the whole second half. Riley Schill. Boy, the Red Sea parted right down the middle of the floor, and she was fouled up top. Jill Congrove grabbed at her. Probably a good thing, because otherwise Riley had the easiest layup of the season. It's been a pretty frustrating night for Marietta trying to share the ball. They have 4 assists and 14 turnovers. Not going to win very many games when you look at that stat line. Jackets turned it over a bunch, 13 times, but they have shared it nicely, 14 assists. 13 turnovers is just below their season average of 13 and a half. Under 6 to play. Marshall with a sweet crossover. Oh, it's going on her highlight reel. Kara Marshall, 14 points. Jackets up 28. On the right side, Congrove, too much, and a foul on the floor. What a move by Kara Marshall. The Yellow Jacket student section loved it too. Hughes leaves, Tiffany Bentler back in there. It's a Yellow Jacket team that has been on a mission all season long. Good layup on the left-hand side. And if you didn't catch Tuesday's game, where we had mentioned it there, or if for some reason you aren't familiar, the national tournament this year, obviously you've got the OAC championship game on Saturday. The other conferences around the country have to have their tournaments done by Sunday, so the selection committee can put together the bracket, which will be announced on Monday. It's a Monday afternoon reveal on NCAA.com. And the Final Four for the women at Division III this year is being held in Columbus at Capitol. The Crusaders are hosting this year's national semifinals and national championship. Again, they hosted a few years back. It's scooted around a couple different places throughout the country. The last few years was in Calvin a few years ago, up in Michigan. Enix misfires. 2 seasons back, it was up in Minnesota. I'm pretty sure last year was in Salem, Virginia, but this year back in Columbus, the national championship. How cool would it be if the Jackets could win 4 NCAA tournament games and play on a very familiar floor in the national semifinals? That's a long way away and a heck of a lot of basketball between now and then. Riley Schill, count it! Oh, you love it! Riley with a quiet night, 6 points, but a really strong effort there. And with under 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, it is all BW. Closing in on an OAC championship berth tonight here in Berea. Back in Berea, 4:42 to go in the fourth quarter. And the Yellow Jackets are all over Marietta in the OAC semifinals tonight. 64-36 with 4:42 left in regulation. Riley Schill completes the three-point play the hard way. Schill comes off the floor as Izzy Andrews returns. I was referencing the national championship tournament. That would be a first for BW if they could get all the way that far in the national tournament. Loose ball at mid-floor. Good play. Taylor. Oh, she throws it away. Kara Marshall was there, and then Taylor fouled her. Coach Harrer, first time she went to the Elite Eight round, national quarterfinals. It's back in the 99-2000 season. The Jackets have been to the Elite Eight 4 times and the Sweet 16 5 times in the Division III tournament. But it's been a long time since BW has gone a long way in the national tournament. 07-08. Team finished 27-3, had a heck of a run. Had some good teams since then, but not quite that same caliber of team. Garrett fouled on her way down there. So we'll have to see how things shake out. I don't think there's any doubt whatsoever that with a record of 25-2, if they hold on here tonight, going into the conference championship game, even if John Carroll wins and BW finishes the year 25-3, I don't see a reality where BW's left out of the NCAA tournament at 25-3. And they entered this week the number 2 ranked team in the region behind only Hope up in the MIA, who is undefeated and by most people's accounts number 1 or number 2 in the country. They are crazy good. But so are these Jackets. Izzy Andrews, good ball fake, it scores. And the lead is 30, 68-38. Andrews, her first bucket. Foul under the basket there. This is the 17th season that Coach Harrer's team has won at least 20 games. She's averaged just over 20 wins a year for 30 years. School record was 28 wins when they went 28-2 back in the 99-2000 season. That was the first of the 4 Elite Eight runs. Pretty impressive. Maybe this team has similar aspirations. You just never know. March Madness is just the best time of year. Man, it's so much fun. Always tough when your season comes to a crashing end, but it can be even more exhilarating when you win. And this team doesn't have to look too far back after Lily Edwards hit a buzzer beater to win the opening game of last year's tournament. But they've got one very important game in front of them on Saturday before they can start thinking about the national tournament this year. As Scheibelhut grabs the offensive rebound, and Enix flat out stuffed her. Garrett gets a chance and can't spin it home. Of course, Coach Harrer, a member of the Ohio Basketball Hall of Fame. She was inducted back in 2017. And a worthy recipient of that honor. Last time she was named OAC Coach of the Year was 2009. Now those honors will not be given out again until after the tournament finishes up. But I certainly would think Coach Harris got a pretty good case to win the OAC Coach of the Year this year. It'd be hard to give it to somebody else when your team is 17-1 and wins the regular season title for the first time in 6 years. But we'll find out. That's coming up a little bit later on next, I would imagine it'll come out on Sunday or Monday, early next week at the latest. 70-39. Goodness gracious, just not going home. Haley Ross missed. Another chance, no foul. Yes, a foul. Okay, late whistle came from behind the play. Cole Vivian, hands on his hips. I'm sure he's a little frustrated with how this evening's gone. He knows BW is a pretty good team. Had a good conversation with Coach before the game. He's a good man, and he's got Marietta basketball certainly moving in the right direction. Obviously, their great run a couple years ago was, I think you could make a pretty good case, the best season in program history. And while last year was a little disappointing, I think they knew they were graduating some big players off that championship team in 2018. But they've responded fairly nicely. A few games over 500, very competitive. And a good regular season in the OAC this year. Their conference record in league play was 9-9, but they had a tiebreaker with Capital. So they were able to host the Crusaders on Tuesday. Just about 2 minutes left. High arcing three doesn't fall. Another three-point miss and a jump ball. Marietta 2 for 16 tonight from behind the three-point line. Again, the winner of this game looking like it's going to be BW. The Jackets would host John Carroll on Saturday in an OAC championship tilt. On the men's side, Mount Union throttled Heidelberg 97-66. And John Carroll staved off a late Marietta comeback try, 86-79. So the Blue Streaks will play in alliance for the men's title Saturday night. Underneath, didn't drop home. Good try. Scheibelhut cleans it up. Reagan Schill, the original miss. She's out there with Mairead La Liberty, Izzy Andrews, Scheibelhut, Emily Lyon, all there. Scheibelhut grabs another miss. And a quick timeout for Coach Harrer. Just a rolling timeout to get subs on for both teams. As Alexis Enix checks out. It's going to be the last time Alexis checks out of a game. Marlo Taylor in the same light. She gives a big hug to Alexis. Tough way for those young ladies to go out, but can never take away the title of champion. After they won it 2 years ago, Coach Vivian goes over and gives big hugs to both Taylor and to Enix, recognizing this one's not going to go their way tonight. Jackets with Kelsey George. Driving to the basket, and Mackenzie Hance will go to the free throw line. Just over a minute to go. I think BW, actually, you know what? Hance called for the offensive foul, okay. I think the Jackets knew they had a pretty good team coming into the year for sure, but they proved that they were certainly capable of playing well against some other really good teams out of conference early in the season. Wins over Skidmore, Rochester, who's usually a terrific team. They beat St. Vincent, who's regionally ranked. They beat Washington and Jefferson. And they're a really tough trip after beating Trine at home, who's a good team. They lost at Wartburg on Wartburg's floor, first of only 2 losses this year. But then turned around the next day, hit the reset button, and beat another top 25 team, the Bears from Washington University down in St. Louis. And only 1 loss in conference play this year. 3 ball for George off the side of the rim. Tough for Marietta for sure to say goodbye to their 2 seniors, but a lot of talent coming back for the Pioneers, and they'll hope to build on this throughout the offseason. As BW's called for a foul underneath. Foul's on Reagan Schill. But I'm awfully impressed with the way the Yellow Jackets responded tonight after Tuesday's really sloppy start. BW had a much different look in their eye early in the game tonight. A lot more focus. Free throw off target. And even through a bad offensive second quarter, the Jackets have never really let Marietta back in this game. Once the Pioneers went down by double digits, I don't think they ever got closer than 8 points. And now they can dribble it out. What a team, what a season. And how fitting that for the first time since 2016, the Jackets will have a chance to play for an OAC championship, and they'll do it on their home floor against their bitter crosstown rival. Final score tonight, Baldwin Wallace 72, Marietta 41. The Jackets, 10th ranked team in the country, moving to 25-2. Marietta's season falls at 14-13 to a close. And we'll have an OAC championship game here in this gymnasium on Saturday. Of course, John Carroll has had a great year, and they are a worthy OAC championship opponent. The Blue Streaks ranked 25th in the country in the most recent poll. They are 23-4 coming into the championship game. Losing, of course, once to BW. The Blue Streaks lost twice to Ohio Northern, and also lost one early season game at Denison. But it really will be, I imagine, a great OAC championship matchup. Both BW and John Carroll played tight games this year, and both teams won on their home floor. The Jackets are hoping that their unbeaten record at home this year will mean they've got a good crowd, and they'll have a chance to try and stay unblemished this season. It's official, 3 o'clock, the start time for the OAC championship. Baldwin Wallace will host John Carroll. Congratulations to the Pioneers on a good season, and good luck to Marlo Taylor and Alexis Enix as their careers move away from Marietta College. But tonight's about the Jackets. Final score 72-41, and BW